What's up, guys? If you guys are familiar with these front wheel drive VQ35DEs, you'll know that they have a butterfly valve right here for the Vias system. Now, what tends to happen a lot of times on these is these get old and there's a little plastic clip and they actually break off so that the thing can do this. So the butterfly can move by itself on its own time. This causes rattles in the intake and will overall make you lose power. So, some Nissans, some front wheel drive VQs came with these, which is the same thing, but it's plastic, so these actually can't break. They don't have the same issue as these metal ones. These didn't come on any specific car. You just find them on random DEs. For instance, in the junkyard is where I actually got this one. So if you are having this problem, you do want to fix it, I suggest going to the junkyard and taking one off. Basically, a vacuum hose connects to that. Whenever enough vacuum pressure builds up inside the intake manifold, this shuts and creates a different flow of intake and gives you better low-end torque, but then more high-end torque. So I'm going to go ahead and replace this today. That way I can actually get it working properly, get rid of the little intake rattle, and should go pretty good. First thing I'm going to go ahead and do is remove this engine cover just to make it a lot easier to work on over there and able to get hoses and everything. What you're going to need is a 5mm Allen key. I just have a bit that attaches to my ratchet, so I can go ahead and pull these bolts out. When you take out that engine cover, you're going to find this rat's nest under it with all the sensor wires, the coil wires, the injector wires, and all these vacuum hoses for the Vias system. Disconnect this. All you gotta do is literally pull this hose off, and that's actually ready to come out. In order to take this off, you're gonna have 3 12 mils. Some of them are pretty difficult to get to. I recommend disconnecting the grounds, disconnecting the harness here, and taking all these little zip ties. That way you can actually pick the harness up and disconnect it from the clip down there, so you can actually get all of them. Now I'm just gonna pull this out. It should come right out like that. Alright, there it is. If you don't have a strut bar, this is going to be a lot easier. This is hot. Oh my god. It's actually hot. I'm putting it down. But yeah, this is what opens up. As you see, it's supposed to be open basically all the time until it closes. Then it'll shut close, which is exactly what this does. But it won't break off a clip because the clip can't be broken. Alright, so I have no real torque spec for these, but as a general torque spec for M8 bolts, it's going to be 21 foot-pounds. So just torque them in a star pattern and then retorque them again to make sure they're all sealed, because this will create a vacuum leak and will make you idle high if it's not sealed properly. Also, oil up the seal behind these. The good thing about the plastic ones is they're not like the stock one with one of these layered gaskets. It's literally a seal built into the intake piece, so it should be a little better in theory. But yeah, go ahead and torque those down and then show you the step after that. After you got the 3 bolts torqued down, you want to get this hose right here. If you don't connect this, this isn't going to do anything. This isn't going to have any effect. So just slide it on that bottom piece just like that. And it doesn't really have a clamp on it because it is powered by vacuum, so it shouldn't ever come off. I'm going to go ahead and start the car and hope that it actually works. This should actually open even just sitting here idling. Going into fixing this intake valve, I did not think it was going to make as big of a difference as it actually did. But going from getting this car, it's been broken since I had it, so I never felt it with the working Vias system. And don't get me wrong, I thought it was pretty fast, but I noticed up top it kind of fell off after like 4K. But when you have this intake valve, it pulls so hard all the way to redline. Like, I wish I filmed a 40 to 100 before I did this and then after, because it's completely different. If yours is broken on your car, try and fix it with this plastic one. I know people do the NWP block-off plate, and that's supposed to give you an extra 10 horsepower up top especially, so I think I'm going to make a block-off plate with the old metal one that came out of here and then try that out. But this thing working rips so much harder than before without it working. It's completely different. In the right gear, especially with the 6-speed, it feels so good when you actually get into it. And the power curve is so much smoother. It feels like when I put my foot down to the pedal, or when I put my foot down on the pedal, it actually it keeps rising. It just gets faster and faster and faster. It's actually kind of crazy. I definitely recommend you get this fixed. It makes a huge difference, and it's always nice to have things in your engine bay that work instead of just sit there and don't work like they're supposed to. Especially with how easy it is to find and replace these, it's a no-brainer to just go ahead and fix it. It's cheaper than the NWP block-off plate, and if you, again, haven't felt it, I suggest doing it. You will feel a huge difference.